All right, guys, welcome to the Game Flow Podcast, episode one. I'm your host, James Mondor. We got so much to talk about. NFL just finished up week 8. We got a coaching carousels happening in college football. There's so much to talk about. World Series is going on. NHL just started. NBA just started. So let's get right into it, okay? Here is my midseason review for the NFL. Listen, the Patriots are leading the AFC East. Okay, now the Patriots do have one of the easiest schedules in the league, so let's not forget about that. However, Drake May is thriving in Josh McDaniels' offense, and Mike Vrabel has put together the foundation for another dynasty. I might be speaking too soon, but this team looks really good. All right. The Patriots do have a couple challenges coming up in the next couple of weeks. Notably, we got the Falcons this weekend. All right. And after that, we got the Buccaneers and then the Bills. Okay. Let's not forget the Falcons were shut out by the Panthers. The Panthers are terrible, and we dropped like 40 points on the Panthers. So, not really too worried about that. The Buccaneers, we'll be playing them off of a bye week, right? They're pretty banged up right now. Okay, so I guess we'll have to see who's healthy, who's not, uh, when that game comes out. Now, going back to the Falcons are the only other team to beat the Bills this year. All right, they didn't do it in prime time in Buffalo. Okay, we did that in prime time in Buffalo. Huge game for us. All right. Another big game that the Patriots are going to be having coming up is going to be the Ravens. Now, the Ravens, they're going to be clawing back. All right, we're playing them later on this season. Ravens are going to be clawing back, fighting and scratching for a playoff spot in that ultra competitive NFC North. All right, because they will need every win that they can get if they hope to try and win that division. All right, speaking of the NFC North, Steelers, they've done it again. They look good. They look great even some weeks. And then other weeks they let it slip away. Mike Tomlin is the GOAT of having the Steelers go 10-7, and that is exactly what's going to end up happening this week. That's what Mike Tomlin does best. You know, I swear, first half of the season they're going to look phenomenal, and then they fall apart. They lose easy games that they should win, and they're going to end up going 10-7. As I mentioned before, the Ravens, they're going to be clawing back from this point forward, trying to salvage the season. The preseason hopes for this team seemed like they were at an all-time high. Everyone's talking about how it's Lamar Jackson's prove it to me year, about how this is his year to go out and win a Super Bowl. It's going to be the Ravens and the Bills competing with the Chiefs to make it to that AFC Championship game. And everyone's saying, "All right, MVP Lamar Jackson, this is your time to shine." You seem like they loaded up. Zay Flowers was looking great, um, and I mean they just did not look good at all with Lamar Jackson this year. So if they want to win this NFC North, they're gonna have to really throw something together later on this year. Moving on down to the AFC South. Let me tell you guys, Danny Dimes has been putting on a show in Indianapolis. Okay, he was outcasted by the Giants last year. Then this year stole the starting job in the preseason, and now is an MVP candidate. They beat an exceptionally good Broncos team. They beat an exceptionally good Chargers team. And I mean, they look good. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, what a guy that they have in their backfield. This team is legit, and I'm really excited to see them moving forward. Now, the second half of their season, is going to be considerably harder. They play the Chiefs, they play the Seahawks, and the 49ers, as well as they got to match up with their division rivals, the Jaguars and the Texans, twice each. The Jags and the Texans will certainly be seeing these games as a must win in hopes of stealing the division away from the Red Hot Colts. The biggest question for Indianapolis is, can they keep the momentum? The last division that we are going to be talking about in the AFC is the AFC West, which is looking like it is going to be one of the closest division races in the entire league. The Broncos currently lead the division at 6-2, but have had a couple remarkably close call games. Notably, the game against the Jets, which ended 13-11, the game against the Giants, which ended 33-32. Bo Nix has shown glimpses of greatness, but it's only a sophomore season, so for him to be playing the way that he is in a very tough division, props to him. Now, Denver's defense this year has been looking great. Nick Bonito has 8 sacks so far. Jonathan Cooper has 6. Not to mention that they have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain, locking it down in their secondary. The Broncos look good, but again, very tough division. They're in there with the Chiefs. They're in there with the Chargers. The Chargers will certainly not be making it easy for the Broncos. The Chargers and the Chiefs both sit at 5-3 right now. Justin Herbert is playing his butt off, looking like an MVP candidate, chilling out there courtside at the Laker games and the Dodger games with Madison Beers. I mean, what guy in America doesn't want to be Justin Herbert right now, slinging that thing to Lad McConkey? What a guy. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I hate to say it. The Chiefs are just going to find a way, and they're going to end up in the playoffs. And then they'll probably go out to an AFC championship game, maybe a Super Bowl, So I hate to say it. It's Patrick Mahomes' world, and we're all just living in it. But for real, the AFC West is going to be very close. It's going to come down to the last couple of weeks. And I'm hoping the Chargers go out. I don't know why. Justin Herbert seems like a dog right now, and I just cannot stand to see the Chiefs win another time. Moving on to the NFC, the Eagles currently lead the NFC East at 6-2. Much of their division has been riddled with injuries this year. Cowboys have lost CeeDee Lamb for a couple weeks. The Commanders have been without Jaden Daniels for a couple weeks. And the Giants have lost star wide receiver Malik Neighbors for the season, most recently rookie running back Cam Scatabo. Now, I can't imagine a world where the Eagles lose the division this season. Saquon is still one of the best running backs in the league. The Eagles' defense is insane, and that offensive line, I mean, at what point do we say the tush push is too much? I've seen it happen multiple times this year where they're lining up in the tush push on like a 4th and 3, and they still get it. No other team is able to do it with the efficiency that they are. I saw Joe Flacco line up for a tush push last week, and he got it, but it's just not the same. I mean, the Eagles are just able to do the tush push for like 4 or 5 yards if they want. It's insane. And at what point are we saying, all right, this is no longer like football? All right. Now, the race in the NFC North is heating up. The Packers currently sit at 5-1-1. The Lions have 5-2, and the Bears are not far behind at 4-3. The Vikings are currently sitting at 3-4. However, they have just lost their quarterback Carson Wentz for the season. J.J. McCarthy is still questionable, leading the Vikings to turn to the rookie out of New Hampshire, Max Brosmer. Bears have been able to find a way to win some games, and Caleb Williams seems to be developing nicely. Detroit is a juggernaut. I thought that their offense would take a step back after losing Ben Johnson. I thought their defense would take a step back after losing Aaron Glenn. I feel like the past couple seasons, everyone's been saying, "Oh, Dan Campbell is good, but it's really his coordinators running the show." Well, clearly Dan Campbell has proved this all wrong this year because Detroit looks legit. Lions are averaging 30 points per game, and their defense has been really solid. Now, the Packers, they're looking great as well, coming off a primetime win on the road in Pittsburgh against their former star quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Josh Jacobs has been great in the backfield, but the guy who I'm most impressed with is Tucker Kraft, coming off of 2 touchdowns on National Tight End Day. Tucker Kraft currently has 30 receptions for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns. That makes him a top 3 tight end this season, up there with Kelsey and with star rookie out of Indianapolis, Tyler Warren, who I have on my fantasy team. Shout out to Tyler Warren. But, I mean, he's beaten all of these guys, or not every category, but Tucker Kraft is, I mean, what a breakout season for him. Now, I still very much think the Lions are going to find a way to win this division. But the Packers do have a tie on their record, which could make things very interesting. And let me tell you about that tie. What a shame. We need to get rid of it. Pat McAfee said it on his show, but I mean, this isn't soccer, okay? This is football. We don't tie in football. Moving on down to the NFC South, which is the worst division in the league. Baker and the Bucks look like they will take the division fairly easily this year, although they've been riddled with some injuries recently. But Baker has been making some magic in Tampa Bay. Emeka Ibuka is my midseason offensive rookie of the year, by the way, with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both out for most of the season so far, and Mike Evans picking up another injury. Ibuka has found himself as the de facto wide receiver 1. The Buccaneers have got their guy, and I hope to see him and Baker lighting up the league for many years to come. I mean, this Buccaneers team, this is just a fun team to watch, and I really am excited to see how they do this year, especially getting closer to the playoffs. As for the rest of the division, the Falcons have been hot and cold, and the Panthers have somehow found themselves at 4-4, and the Saints are just terrible. The silver lining for Oh, Emlyn, would you like to come in chime in about the Saints sitting at 1-6? Yeah, they're terrible, all right? The silver lining for the Panthers is that Tedero McMillan looks particularly good, and J.C. Horn, with 3 interceptions this season so far, has been a lockdown corner all season. As for the Saints, there is no silver lining. The team is old and bad, and they just announced today that Spencer Rattler has lost the starting job. Tyler Shuck has taken over. I genuinely believe that the Saints are choosing to be bad not only this season, but they are going to repeat and be bad next season so that they can hope to draft Arch Manning, who we'll get to that afterwards, but the Saints are terrible. Finally, moving to the NFC West, much like the AFC West, they got 3 teams with a legitimate spot as division champs. The Seahawks and Rams currently sit on top at 5-2, and the 49ers are just behind at 5-3. The biggest takeaway from Seattle so far, they are simply fine without DK Metcalf, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. Another guy on my fantasy team. I mean, he has just been lighting it up this season. He's currently sitting with 50 receptions and a whopping 819 yards. Sam Darnold has shown he's not a one-season wonder, and one of the guys he must thank is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Similarly, the Rams' Puka Nacua has been having a hell of a season as well, with 54 receptions and 616 yards. The Rams' defense has also been exceptionally good, allowing only 3 points to the Ravens a couple weeks ago, and only 7 points to the Jaguars recently. The Rams did lose an overtime thriller to their division rivals, the 49ers. So they will be looking to settle that score when they face up again later on this season. The Niners, they've been riddled with injuries this season. Brock Purdy, he has missed a significant amount of times, but luckily Mac Jones, Patriots Pro Bowler Mac Jones, might I add, he has stepped in and stepped up. He is having listen, I'm not saying he's the MVP, but he's playing about as well as any team could ever hope their backup quarterback plays. He is doing great. Now, George Kittle, he was out and recently returned, and wide receiver Brandon Ayuk is expected to make his return soon as well. Those two will add a surge to that Niners offense. But their biggest loss this season comes on the defensive side of the ball, losing Fred Warner for the season. Now, Warner has been one of the best linebackers in the league for the past couple of seasons, having versatility in run stopping and pass coverage. And I really have no idea who is going to win this division, right? And it's going to come down to team health. But one thing is for sure, every game for all these teams is going to be a must win. Now, we just covered every division in the NFL. Let's move on to the final review. Listen, this has been one of the most interesting seasons of professional football as of recent. Patriots, Steelers, Colts, and Broncos all sit on top in the AFC. Like, is this 2014? What is going on? I only hope that Drake May just continues to progress the way that he is. He seems to be. I can't get ahead of myself, but Drake May, I love you. Moving on to college football. Said we're going to talk about it. It is the coaching carousel. Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Oregon State, Penn State, Florida, and Emmeline's LSU Tigers have all fired their head coaches this season, leaving some very coveted jobs available. The big names being thrown around are recently fired James Franklin and Brian Kelly. You got Lane Kiffin, John Gruden, and Matt Rule. Those are big names that I've seen thrown around by pretty much everyone. If I had to guess, I would assume Brian Kelly takes over in Happy Valley. He's a Midwestern guy. His style of play is Big Ten football. It does not fit in the SEC. Now, his tenure in Baton Rouge was less than spectacular, although Brian Kelly has proven he can recruit, and he's proven he can bring a team to the national championship like he did when he was with Notre Dame. As for James Franklin, UCLA is a team to look out for. They are another program with some history, not as much as Penn State, right? But they got the money, and James Franklin will be able to bring in recruits. He'll be able to bring in some NIL money and really elevate that UCLA program. The most exciting potential head coach for next year, in my opinion, is going to be John Gruden. Now, Gruden has made it public that he wants to return to coaching, and specifically in the SEC. Now, there are 3 jobs available right now in the SEC. I can't imagine that he would take over in LSU. If I was him, I would not want to move to Arkansas. But this job in Florida is going to be very sexy to him. Gruden is no stranger to Florida. He coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and led them to the Super Bowl back in 2003. And so if I'm Gruden, I want this Florida job and I want it bad. The question is does Florida want to take a chance on John Gruden, who hasn't coached since 2021? So time will tell, but I think John Gruden would be perfect for that team. He's going to be gritty. The Swamp is a gritty place to play, and he's going to be able to bring in some recruits just because of the name. I mean, look at Bill Belichick, who he's having a terrible season so far, but he's been able to recruit not horribly, and I think John Gruden is going to be a much more fun guy to play for than Bill Belichick. Believe me that. Moving on to Lane Kiffin, he seems to be linked with every available coaching job, specifically all of the SEC jobs. Um, and I just listen. Kiffin, he rebuilt this Ole Miss program into a national powerhouse who's currently ranked 7th. I really don't see Kiffin leaving Ole Miss this upcoming offseason. I mean, why would he leave the Rebels to go rebuild another program? I really only see Kiffin leaving Oxford for a blue blood program, which doesn't seem like any of those jobs will be available anytime soon. Now, LSU, blue blood ish, right? But I see that more of a lateral transfer from Ole Miss, right? Who you've already rebuilt. You've spent the time recruiting these guys. Like, I and his daughter still goes to Ole Miss. I really don't see him leaving anytime soon. All right, moving on to the college football playoff predictions. BYU, they seem like they're going to walk right into the college football playoff in a pretty weak Big 12. Cincinnati Bearcats and Texas Tech Red Raiders will have something to say about it, but for the Big 12 championship, BYU looks very solid as they are currently undefeated. Also undefeated is the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, currently on top of the ACC. Miami, Louisville, there will be two teams that will surely make it interesting, but I ultimately see the Hurricanes winning the ACC. Ohio State has been steamrolling everyone in their path uh, to back-to-back national championships. However, Kurt Signetti has quickly turned around that Hoosier football program and will be looking to return to the college football playoff this year. I see these two guys. I cannot wait for them to go head-to-head in the Big Ten. It's going to be a hell of a game to watch. Yeah, Kurt Signetti, he's going to be wanting to return. Obviously, last year, knocked out in the first round by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Talking about Notre Dame, if they win, if they win out, they are in. If they lose even one game, they're out. Listen, those two losses that they have to Texas A&M and to Miami, two very good teams that were close losses, right? So I think if they can just win out, they're in. But if they lose even one more game, forget about it. See you next season. All right. Moving on to the ultra competitive SEC. Alabama has been on a tear. After their week 1 loss to Florida State, they have beat number 5 Georgia, number 16 Vanderbilt, number 14 Missouri, and number 11 Tennessee in consecutive weeks. I mean, what a tear Alabama's been on. Enough said. Honestly, Texas A&M is still undefeated and currently ranked 3rd, but come on. I mean, what a season Alabama's had, and I surely expect Alabama, if they can continue to win out. I mean, they got some hard games coming up. They're going to be facing LSU, who, you got the interim head coach, Jinx, right? And then they got Oklahoma. So I guess we'll see what happens, but Alabama has been red hot as of recent, or crimson hot. All right. Now, as I said, Texas A&M currently ranked third. You got Georgia ranked fifth, and Ole Miss ranked seventh, and all will be fighting hard to get into that SEC championship game. Those are four really good teams. I just I I can't see how the committee can get away with putting all of them in the playoff, right? If you're an SEC fan, you love the SEC and you would say put all of them in there, but you're going to have those Big 10 guys, Big 12 guys, ACC guys who are saying, "Hey, what about us?" right? So, we'll see what happens. I don't really see all four of those guys getting in there. All right, moving on to the weekly matchup predictions for NCAA. We got Ohio State versus Penn State. This was one that I had marked on my calendar at the beginning of the season. Now, I mean, it's no question Ohio State is going to steamroll. We got Boston College versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame, this seems like a losable game. I really hope they win. I'm going to say that they win. But I don't know if I'm throwing a bet on that one. You got Texas versus Vanderbilt. This is going to be in Austin. But I think Diego Pavia, he gets it done on the road. I think he gets it done. You got Tennessee versus Oklahoma. This is going to be a close one, too. Tennessee played very well against Alabama. I think Tennessee comes out on top. We got Utah versus Cincinnati. Utah, I think, wins this one pretty comfortably. And then we got Nebraska versus USC. Again, this is going to be a close one. I think USC wins on the road in Lincoln. All right, well, that'll do it for football. We can talk briefly about basketball. Celtics look like they're trash. Probably not going to win anything this year. Baseball. 18 innings yesterday. World Series, Game 3. Let me know if you stayed up to watch that, because I certainly did not. But, I mean, that's insane. This has been a great series so far. I'm kind of rooting for the Blue Jays. I mean, I don't really care too much. I'm a Yankees fan myself. They knocked out the Yankees. So, I'm not really sure how I feel. But the Blue Jays minor league team is from my hometown. Got to see Vladimir Guerrero play a little bit when he was there. And so, you know what? I guess we can say go Blue Jays for this. All right. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for checking it out. And be sure to follow on Instagram, like, subscribe. And we got new episodes coming out every week. So we'll see you then. Thank you.